Hello, everybody. Welcome to Suzanne Off the Cuff, and I have a very special, extraordinarily special guest today. This is Christa Newhouse over here. She's my special guest, and she's going to be talking in just a minute. As always, I like to start out by telling the significance of my guest. And the significance of Christa is that my friend Charles Gandy met her, and as soon as he met her, he said, Suzanne, you have to see this lady. You have to meet this lady. You have to see her work. Because I was always interested in double knitting. I hadn't gotten into brioche yet. I hadn't done any brioche, but I had already done quite a bit of double knitting, was very interested in it. And so Charles and I happened to go to a TKGA retreat at Mackinac Island, and Christa lives on a neighboring island very close. And so he made arrangements with her that when Charles and I were there at the Grand Hotel, that she would come over with her husband Shelby and have lunch with us. And she brought her work. She brought this big suitcase with her, and she opened it up and she started pulling out this knitting. Oh my. I had never seen anything so special as what she was sharing, and the drape of the fabric, the feel, the just unbelievable work. And so, we spent quite a bit of time talking, and I was dragging her around, showing everybody, you've got to see this work. You've got to meet this lady and see this incredible work that she does. So the following year, Charles let me know that Christa was going to be teaching at John C. Campbell Folk School, and she was, I think it was a week or 10 days or so. It was quite a bit of time that we spent double knitting and brioche. So it was wonderful for me. I got to indulge myself in more double knitting, but I got to learn brioche from her. So we went, and it was so fun. Oh my goodness. And that's when I actually got to try on all of her garments. I have lots of pictures of me wearing them, and it was amazing. And so we've kind of kept in touch ever since then. And I'm so glad that she agreed to be an interviewee today. So this is Christa over here. So Christa, I'm going to ask you the same thing I ask everybody, and that is, what brought you to knitting?
What brought me to knitting was growing up in Europe at a time when it was not where you would go in a store and buy a pair of socks. You had to knit your pair of socks, and you learned that from your mother or from your grandmother. And I don't remember anything about it. I know I love to go barefoot, so I probably didn't knit very many socks, and that was the end of learning how to knit. And that means knit one, purl one, knit one, purl one, no problem. I knit the continental way, having learned over there, and I use the same technique for my double knitting.
So what brought you to double knitting? How did you end up getting so interested in double knitting?
Suzanne, I was editing films, and I had begun to edit digitally. And if you remember, maybe 15 years ago or 10 years ago, rendering took forever. So whenever I had to render my graphics, I had to wait. I went to Barnes and Nobles and gravitated to the knitting department books, a knitting book department. And I came upon a book called Knitting Out of Africa. I don't know, can you see?
Yes, we can see it. Yes.
Africa. And I looked at all of that, and I looked at these beautiful designs that Marianne has. But I looked at them and I said, this is intarsia. I can't do that because my type A personality makes it impossible for me to make a smooth fabric. I would only make smocking happen because I would pull the strands that are supposed to be nicely stranded, nicely tight. But I also read most books from the back. I am one of those people who starts at the back. So I see these zebras, and I see this wonderful picture of the zebra vest. And I said, how in the world did she strand that? That is impossible. Nobody can do that. And then going backwards, as I always do, there is a page that says double knitting. And my time frame was beginning to be a little short. I just lost my glasses. They fell on the floor, but I don't need them. And I read the instructions. They are absolutely fantastic. Anybody should read those who gets into double knitting. Read those, put the book down, put it back on the shelf, went home, and when time permitted, I started to play with double knitting. So what I did was I cast on, and I said, I can make those clouds. I don't know what I just heard.
That was my phone, sorry.
Okay, no problem. I'm always worried it's me. So I also saw the giraffe, and the giraffe had all these little designs on the giraffe sweater. And I said, I can do that. And then I thought I could make a kite. And after that, I thought I can do a little bit my own design. And then, of course, because I was very much into alpacas, I had to design an alpaca. I had more of the giraffe pattern. I started to fly my kite slightly differently. My husband was turning 80 at that time, and I had just finished a film called Generation to Generation. I had received an image of the Hebrew saying of generation to generation. I had now started to sketch the design of generation to generation, and I tried a partial knit of that. I thought if I can do that, I can do Navajo. Why not? Double knit it. And then when you have one alpaca, you can have two alpacas. And at that point, I was making quite a few other garments, single knitted, that had my signature flounce. So I had to learn how to make our flounce in double knitted. Now, I have to say to you, I have this piece, and I know that the needle size was wrong, everything was wrong. I had to increase at certain points to have enough room for my alpaca and so on. But it was a challenge, it was wonderful, and I immediately after learning from Joan Sheridan Hoover from Lake Orange, that you need to have a yarn guide. Christa, the way you knit, you need to have a yarn guide, meaning to guide the two yarns you use in the yarn guide. And after the test knitting and designing the generation to generation vest, which you see here, I cast on, and in one piece made this vest that is obviously completely reversible because we are double knitting. It's so much fun. But you often talk about the mistakes we make while we design something and create something. So here is I don't know whether you can see it, but here's a cast off at the shoulder seam. As I progress, you will see they look much, much better than this. 3-needle cast off.
So
I have no idea.
So you did a 3-needle bind off on each side of the shoulder.
No, probably, yeah.
Yes.
Susan, you're absolutely right. That's what I did. Shouldn't have, but I did. So I'm going to move this around a little bit one more time.
And then let me show the pictures of it that I have here.
But I also want to show you that I didn't make the vest front wide enough. So I added the little border here to make it big enough. And then when that was done, I had to make a tie for my husband, because when you have a vest like this, you have to have a tie that goes with it. And of course, completely reversible. And I think you have some pictures,
Yes.
Susan.
Let me show these pictures.
You can see my husband wearing
This
his
is
gorgeous.
Shelby. Hold on. There's Shelby.
Yes.
With the vest in the front.
I added because he needed a little bit more space.
Here's the back. Let me see what I'm getting here. This is the first time I'm using this. And then here's the other side of the back with it reversed.
This is the way it reads, generation to generation. I didn't do it so it would read the correct way on both sides. That's something I'm still trying to wrap my brain around. I'm not there.
That's with it reversed. This one doesn't want to show up for some reason. There we go.
Okay.
Okay, so that's on. Here's one more.
Oh, this is the plaque I got, and I used that as the design for
generation. Oh, that's where you got right. Beautiful, beautiful.
And as you see, those little things that I have under the plaque, all these here, if you see what I'm doing by any chance, also are to hold the fabric together so it wouldn't sag somehow on one side or the other.
Talk a little bit more about that, Christa, about the little blips in the color, what you did there in the bottom of the vest.
This is obviously where the fabric, where you change the color, the fabric is being held together. Later on in my knitting and in my progressing, you will see that I don't need those anymore, because my tension is such that it is so equal that it doesn't even sag, but we'll get to that point.
Right. So this was the second thing you ever did in double knitting.
This is after doing the test
knit. Right.
That is the first piece.
Right. And is this in alpaca?
Oh, alpaca. 100% alpaca.
Yeah. And what's the weight of the yarn?
And
the size needle.
No, you're asking these technical questions. I am terrible with that. I go by what feels right, I talk to my needles, and then I go. Suzanne, I'm very bad answering these questions. But
it's like lace weight or fingering weight, and you use like size 0 needles, size 1 needles.
In this case, I probably used a 1 or a 2 even, because it is relatively loosely knit.
That's why.
And that's yours. And what it is Henry's Attic Prime Alpaca.
Okay.
That I bought from Joan when I first started to knit, double knitting.
Right. Okay, let's go on.
Okay. After this, of course, I had to. What did I say what I was going to do next? Let me see. I have a piece of paper here. Test knit. Oh, yeah. Then I wanted to do a skyline of Chicago. And I did the skyline of Chicago on a vest like this, with my, as I said, it's like a ruffle. I cast on, and then all the decreases, I don't know whether you can see them here, to come. So this is all double knitted here already. Until I had the fitted vest again. Here, can you see?
Yes.
Yeah, you have it.
Yeah.
And Suzanne, I am still doing the mistake of casting a 3-needle binder on both sides. What was I thinking? But you develop, you begin to learn.
Exactly.
Then I had a guest at our B&B who loved the vest, wanted to buy the vest. It fit her perfectly. She looked gorgeous in it. And then she said, "Do you have it in another color?" I just had to bring that up. So I decided, yes, I can do the different color. Joan had hand dyed this beautiful yarn that
That's
had all
gorgeous.
variegations, and the lady wanted to wear this vest, of course, with blue jeans. So I thought, yeah, right. So I thought these colorations would be fantastic for her. I created the vest, and now I am making the shoulder seam the right way. You see it? On both sides.
Yes.
I learned. And that's exactly what happens by doing. You learn more and more and more. And this is the piece that I had to make, and I made it. There's no other seam besides the shoulder seam.
So, Christa,
Yeah.
someone asked a question. Luann Wright asked, she said, question, are these your own designs for the vest itself, not the design? But the style of the vest is your own design.
Everything.
Yes.
Yeah.
None of
Yeah.
this is from a book. Everything is from out of your head.
No. Remember, the book is on the shelf at
Yes.
Barnes and Nobles, where it belongs. So, no, this is all my design. And yes.
It's amazing.
So, after this, I think we're going to go to, now comes Joan again. I'm at the B&B. I'm making breakfast for my guests. The phone rings. Joan's talking to me, and she says, Christa, why don't you make a swing coat? And I'm saying, you mean double knitted? And she said, yes, of course. I have to tell you, there are still bacon splatters on my design. Here's my design. I don't know whether you can see it. When somebody was just asking, are those my designs? Yes. The pattern and the physical design of the piece is all mine. So those are the sleepless nights you have, or the nights with dreams. So here is the design. Here's the opening, sleeves. Yeah, this is, Joan, I can do this. So then I took my design of the cityscape of Chicago and made it a little bigger. And here it is. And you cannot even, it is heavy. It is a heavy coat. And when I heard Nathan talk about the lady who got him into double knitting with her swing coat and the balloons and the air balloons and the cityscape, I just said, okay, Nathan, here it is. It's a little different, but this is the coat.
And I have, once she finished showing it here, I have a bunch of pictures to show you of how this coat looks.
This is the coat. And it has no seams. This coat has no seams. I started up here. I had to hold still. This is the cast on. I didn't know I was going to end up with probably 3,500 or whatever stitches on the cast. This is cast on. I called it off. Cast on. At the bottom, I don't know how many thousands of stitches cast off. No seams. And when I came to figuring out the sleeves as I'm knitting, I wanted them to be like poofy. And here they are. And then I had Crystal Gebhardt learning how to double knit. And Crystal forgive me, but you made a little mistake. You didn't move your yarn, so the yarn is trapped within the two layers. You left the yarn on the outside, and it looked so beautiful that I had to incorporate it here. It's like a machine stitching. Can you see it by any
Hold it
chance?
up like in front of your face, like this, a little bit.
Like this?
Yes. It's hard to see, but I'll show the big pictures in a minute.
It's like machine stitching along here. And that's where I went from the poof of the sleeve to the normal size of the sleeve. And since everything is reversible, you can have whatever arm length you have, you just roll it up, and there it is. Now, how do you have a gusset under the arm, under the sleeve, and stay in pattern? I have this little test knit for that. But since I'm not in my normal house, I don't have it with me. Otherwise, I would show it to you. But here is the gusset. In pattern, in pattern, in pattern, and in pattern. I think I'm done with showing it like this. But if you wanted to see the drape, I'm sure there are some pictures where you can really see the drape.
Right. So let me show the pictures now, okay?
Yes.
So we'll start out with how it looks laying.
I forgot to tell you about the hat.
Right. There's also a hat that matches it. And I got to try this on, and you would not believe how wonderful it feels wearing this. Here's the dark side. And then I have some pictures of it being worn with the hat. Here's a picture of the back. And it just drapes wonderfully. It's just a magnificent piece. This is this just blew me away when I saw it. Unbelievably beautiful. Look at the workmanship in that. And you can see the little places that she's talking about at the bottom of the poof of the sleeve where the arm comes out. Isn't that amazing? Okay. That's lovely.
Suzanne, I need the hat to go with it. And the hat, this is the prototype of the hat. These are supposed to be the window panes in the city, right here. The hat is started up here and here. Two little I cords. I don't know whether I'm in the way. Two little I cords until it becomes a disc. Then it becomes the panes. Then it becomes the brim and more of the window panes. And this is, for me, the fun part. This is an I-cord cast off, twisting the different colors. Wow. I don't know if you see it here in the dark version, but I have it in lighter versions.
Wow.
Right here. And each one of those hats was made at a specific time. This one was made, and I call this my Japanese cherry blossoms up here. And it was made during the Olympics in China.
Beautiful.
Or Chinese now. And of course, completely reversible. There you go. And again, it starts with an I-cord. And it goes from there. And I love the math in it. And this is the I-cord cast off. That's it. Having to do with that coat. I'm going to put it on the floor.
So Dolise asks, she says, question, does Christa wear the coat herself?
It's a wonderful question. I've been asked that question. it has been modeled. The coat has been modeled by so many different people, and it looks so beautiful on them that I feel I couldn't do it justice. Very tall person with not maybe the right shapes in the right places. It looks so beautiful on other people that I don't want to ruin it by wearing it.
This is a statement here, Christa, that is very, you are worthy of this statement. This statement is from Luann Wright. She said, when I knit, I always say a prayer of thanks for all the knitters that came before me. And I figured out all of the things that figure out all the things that we knit. I believe she is one of those.
Thank you very, very much. Thank you very much. It is all totally intuitive. And it is my meditation. It is my sanity. And it is my mental yoga. And especially now that I'm not editing anymore after 57 years, I need that outlet.
Now, when Christa says editing, she's talking about film editing, not editing knitting magazines or anything. She was a film editor. And if you ever get to take a class from her, which she may be teaching at John C. Campbell Folk School in 2021, do take the class from her, because she will tell you her history, which is most fascinating and would take about a 2-hour live stream to tell it. But it's every minute of it is fascinating. And so it's something to look forward to. Okay, I'm ready for the next thing.
I'm ready to progress to one of the reasons I didn't know the weight of the yarn or whatever. As I said, I do everything. I'm a very, I feel things. And as I said, I talk to my needles, I talk to my yarn, and then it happens. I was giving a class at Joan's store in Lake Orion, and she had a wonderful lady there Svetlana, who was wanting to make a shawl double knitted for her mother. And that made me design this piece. And I have no idea how to hold it because it is very, very large. And I don't know, do you have a shot of it?
Yes. Let me put the photos of this one on. I have 2 very good photos of it.
Okay.
So they can see.
Yes. Somebody was asking, do I ever wear my pieces? That is a piece I wear.
And that's the hat that goes with it.
Exactly.
Yes.
And here also. Here is again the hat.
Yes.
Yes. And as I said earlier, the patterns for the hat will vary depending on the piece I'm making. So here is a piece that has this more Victorian kind of pattern. And so the hat has obviously the same pattern. And this piece has a centerpiece. I don't know whether you can see that.
Yes.
Okay. I was talking earlier about the fact that on my husband's vest, I had to have all these little, they call them lice somewhere, all these little marks where I had to change the colors so the fabric would be held together. Here, I reduced it to only a few because by now my knitting was such that it wouldn't flop one way and flop the other way on the different sides where the yarns were not creating the pattern. So I have only very few of those. Later on, you'll see one without. It's
just beautiful.
Thank you. I'm going to let this go and go on to...
So before you move on to the next thing, Demetria wants to know if you have a pattern for sale for the hats.
Again, interesting question. I have all the elements of it, but no, it is not written like a normal pattern. A normal, what I'm saying is normal, that I would find in a book.
Will you get mine?
1 second, Shelby. I'm sorry. Would you please, can you talk to Shelby for a few minutes, please? because I don't know what to do. So the answer to that is I do not have a pattern. I have the parts and pieces of a pattern, but I don't have it written down as in for sale. It means, though, that other knitters who have taken my classes, I handed them the parts and pieces, and they were able to create the hat. Well, I'm on audio right now. So that's the answer to that question about the hat.
I'm going to butt in here a little bit. What you hear in the background is Shelby, her husband. And Christa takes care of him. You would be so lucky to have someone as wonderful as Christa taking care of you. So Shelby, she is so in love with him, and he is such a wonderful man, and she is his caregiver. So he's sitting there with her in the same room, just to be safe.
24/7 undertaking.
Yeah, so Sockmatician, this is Nathan. Nathan asks, do you chart your designs in advance, or do you work them out as you go along? And if in advance, do you use a pen and graph paper?
I'm trying to.
I have several different ways of doing it. There is, and I'm so sorry that I don't remember the names of all these things because it's happened such a long time ago. Because the book Marianne came out in 2005, and I probably started in 2007 to do the double knitting. There is a program in fact, you have it in your Word program where you can say, you can create a square on your computer that is blank and a square that is dark.
Like in Excel? Are you talking about using Excel?
Something like that.
Yes.
And I literally created patterns that way.
Those are yours.
Let me see whether I can show you.
Here. Those are yours.
It's okay, Christa. It's okay.
Just sit here for a second, and I'm going to show you one of my patterns.
Okay.
Thank you for letting me do that. I have to go to a different. It's literally a pattern. I say dark means the color I would like to create, and white is the opposite. So I didn't bring a pattern of where you see. Hold on. Suzanne, can you show something else in the meantime? I'm going to get another one then because this is not.
Let me do that.
Well enough.
Okay.
I can show you that scarf in a minute.
Okay.
Okay, I'm going to go away for a minute.
There we go. Okay. So people are asking about the patterns that Christa doesn't write patterns for these. She doesn't have patterns, and she hasn't written a book or anything, which I highly encourage her to do. Not even necessarily a book of how to do these things, but just her thought process and pictures, and to document her work. Oh my goodness, this work is museum quality stuff that is just part of the history of knitting, and I think it needs to be documented. Okay, here she is again. Let's see.
I can show you this. This is how I design my patterns. Yes as a nose, the color, and I can show you the scarf that goes with it. We're going a little out of order. Suzanne, is that okay?
Yes.
Okay. You can see how. Can you see what I'm talking about?
Yes.
Okay.
Beautiful.
So this is the pattern I designed. This is what I knit. I don't know whether that answers the question. I had forgotten the question.
Yes, they wanted to know Nathan wanted to know how you started by, and he says that's exactly how he does his as well.
Nathan, it's amazing. I have now knit visualizer or something like this.
Right.
I work with that now nowadays, but a long time ago it was really yeses and nos.
Yes.
And O's. It could have been anything. It could have been a dash in a circle or whatever. because you knew you just reverse it and there is your double knitting.
Right.
Should we go to scarves for a second before I go to my other one?
Okay.
While I have them in my hand?
Yes.
Here, for example, this has a wonderful background story. Now that you know my husband is here, part of all this happening, we were downstate and I wanted to have a bird feeder. And I went to PetSmart, and I'm very much into the bird feeders. And my husband said, turn around, look what's in the cage. And there were all these beautiful, beautiful birds. And I said, okay, here's my next scarf. So I designed this. And then, of course, because you can, and we're going to get into this a little later, you have bicolor brioche on the bottom. And then you make everything happen with beads. Can you see the beads by any chance?
They're hard to see here, but let me show the pictures.
Okay.
I have the nice pictures.
Okay, I'll put this on the floor because at the B&B, the lady saw the scarf and she was not going to leave without the scarf.
Oh, so she took the one with the beads?
I had to sell it to her. So I just replicated it for myself because I like to have my pieces with me. I'm attached to them somehow.
Yes.
I just knitted it again, and this time I put all the beads in. Whenever the birds needed to have some color, bright red, put the beads. And I put the beads, I never string anything. I just place them when I need to place them, where it feels right.
Now, what made you think about taking the double knitting and just merging it into brioche? How did that come into your mind?
Well, that happened. I was visiting my friend Char, and she opened the door and she was wearing a very funny thing called a onesie that she had bought at Walmart, and it had kisses all over the place. And she said, Charlene, I need to have a picture of this. I have something in my mind that I want to do with those kisses. And
Probably mom's busy right now.
And I told her, let me take a picture. And there she's standing, and she's standing like this. I said, no, Char, turn around, show me your tush. I need to photograph those kisses. And I did. And then, because, and we're going a little bit ahead, because brioche and bicolor brioche in this case, and double knitting has the same amount of stitches. So if I go back to the birds, see how wide this is?
Right.
How wide this is here on both sides? Then I reduced it just a little bit by putting in the cables. Can you see the cables? And then you go directly into double knitting, and it is the same amount of stitches. So how did I try to combine this? I liked flounces, as you probably saw at the previous pieces. I like a flounce. And that's how bicolor brioche going into double knitting developed in my world.
Well, they go together perfectly.
And since we are with designing, and since I'm going back to the earlier question about design, I was asked to create a Christmas present for somebody, and the lady loved stilettos. And so I designed something that has all
Isn't that cute?
In the world, every kind. And then I knitted it with beads. And if you look at this piece, has beads where they belong on a stiletto. And then, of course, the other side has the same thing. That's more fun, do it on both sides. And amplifying the shapes with beads is fun.
Isn't that beautiful? I just love that.
It's just, and I love the colors. And I was going to not go into colors yet because I still have a few pieces that don't have color. But I loved the yarn, and it's very simple. It's sock yarn. It's Sherpel, Crazy Zauberball. I saw that and I had to have it. And I'm probably one of their best customers because I love the long, long ramp, and I love the colors, the strong, strong colors.
Mm-hmm.
I have one more. Earlier, I showed you the strange zigzaggy kind of pattern, written pattern. And here it is. And don't ever do that, please. It looks pretty good, but it's a nightmare when you use two Crazy Zauberballs and they're just of different coloration and put together. All of a sudden, you have blue on blue and red on red, and it's very difficult to do double knitting when the front and the back have the same color.
Right.
Then you really have to use your brain on doing it.
That's just beautiful. That's magnificent.
It's very, very colorful. Here is, if I still have the time, I don't know. Am I using too much time?
No, 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 no.
No? Okay. Again, brioche. Wonderful. I went to a fair and they had Kodak yellow, hand-dyed, merino something. I loved it and I said, I know exactly what to do. Here is the brioche. Bobbles on both sides after following the cables, of course. Bobbles on both sides. And then, Suzanne, this is amazing to me. I just sat down because I was in love with Crazy Zauberball. And I just let the yarn do the design. I didn't write anything down. It just, when it felt right, I changed it into different designs, and I loved it. And then my friend Anneliese said, I have to make this scarf. She took the scarf, put it on the photocopying machine. She made a photocopy and knitted it from the photocopy.
That's just so beautiful. So vibrant.
And it just, the colors told me where to go.
Yes.
I didn't do it. It was like, it happened. But we went into colors too soon.
Let me show one picture of that, okay? Because you can see the baubles on this little picture. Really good.
Oh, yeah. I see. Yes, I know that one.
See the little baubles down there at the bottom and her cables. See how she does the little cables? That's what pulls the brioche in. And then she made the little baubles. Just amazing.
We're backing up a little bit into the no color because at that time I was only working with alpaca and natural colors. And here is a scarf. I don't know whether you have a picture of it.
I do.
Yeah. That is, how do I even hold it? It is, first of all, I'm very, very tall, so I make all my pieces very long. This here I call the leaves and the holly berries. I don't know whether you can see the holly berries.
I have 3 pictures. Let me show the pictures.
Okay.
They're good. They're
Friend
good.
Long is modeling.
There's one. And then here you can see the holly berries. And the hat,
yes,
the matching hat. Isn't that beautiful?
And when I make pieces like this, Suzanne, I also make tassels that are double knitted. I don't know if you can see. The little top is double knitted. And I subdued the coloration of the holly berries by using red and gray, but I couldn't resist putting it into the...
Yeah, that's beautiful.
There is a natural red. It would have been too loud for me.
So Amber Shuey wants to back up a little bit to the Zauberball. She said, is that the Kleiner Fuchs colorway?
Yes, yeah. It's I think it's 1702.
Okay.
is the
Great.
number. Kleiner
Thank you.
Fuchs or Frische Fische. It could have been Frische Fische too. It's one of those two. And we talked about the hat with the holly berries.
Right.
Okay, done with that. Now, I said we were backing up a little bit. I had hand spun yarn, and we're still in the Cityscape area, but this is so gorgeous. I always say Denzel Washington should be wearing this one. Was in it, wouldn't he? But then he would look fabulous in anything.
Yes, that's beautiful.
There,
Just beautiful.
Seeing the moon rising or the sun rising over the Singing Behind the Plow. And here is Singing Behind the Plow. On this side, on that side, and of course, here, Singing Behind the Plow.
Beautiful.
I did not give you other photographs of this because it's not, it's not a pattern that I would be selling. Some of the other patterns, I sell the pattern. And this is the other side.
Just beautiful.
And again, you see all the different stars that are holding the fabric together. And I'm going to turn it around one more time. And you see my edges, my borders, the way I do my borders. There's always some kind of a little design there. Because my edge stitches knit the first, in double knitting, knit the first 2 stitches together with both yarns, and at the end of the row, slip as if to purl. And I create a funny design by doing that, and I have it here right now. And I happen to like this design. I don't know whether you can see it. This is the kind of design I create. Can you see it, Susan?
Hold it up a little bit higher and closer to your camera, closer to the computer.
Closer to the computer.
Yeah, I don't know if we can see. Yeah, you can see that.
A little bit.
Yes.
A little bit. Maybe even better on this side. Hold on a second. I know I'm moving fast and all that stuff. But can you see it?
Yes.
Yeah?
Oh, yes. It makes that nice stitch on the edge.
And,
yes.
And you can adjust it in such a way that it's always the same. It's not,
right.
It doesn't have to be changing. Okay. I am going to go to something else now. And that is, we were talking about Campbell Folk School.
Yes.
Well, Campbell Folk School and those wonderful horses made me design, let me take my yarn guide off my finger because it gets snagged, something that I call double happiness. And here is...
Oh my goodness. Yes.
Happiness, have the sun, and then the moon.
Wow.
The sun, the moon, because we work day and night. You see the sun and the moon?
Yes, yes. That's so beautiful.
And there is the sign double happiness. And I designed this at a time when Li Hong, this beautiful Oriental lady, was almost going to get engaged or something like this. And I said double happiness would be a perfect sign for her. But it didn't happen that way. So I kept the scarf. And then I always show it like this and say, and when it snows in Michigan.
Yes.
You have this, and still the horses and everything. And again, double happiness. After double happiness, I decided, okay, when you have a scarf, you need a hat. So here is the hat that goes with it. Sorry, I have to hold it still.
Wow.
And it is a cello. in Peruvian ceremonial hat. It's really a ceremonial hat. I always say you can buy it at Walmart for $7.50, but not really. It again has double happiness. It has the sun. It has the horses, and it has everything double knitted. Then it has, here comes Charles. Then it has these tassels. They're different than my normal tassels. I learned from Charles Gandy how to make this happen.
Yes.
Hi, Charles, if you're there. And if it gets too hot, you just wear it like that.
Very beautiful. That's stunning.
So once you have the scarf and you have the hat, well, you have to have the mittens, right?
Yes.
So here are the mittens. And they have, again, the horses. But this time they have not only the brioche, the cables, then they have the Baltic braid. And then you go into the mitten.
Wow.
And on the other side, you have, let me see here, the horses, and here is double happiness again, and of course, whatever else. And the sun, and the moon. Oh yes. Yeah, sun and the moon.
Yes. Beautiful.
Okay, now you have a complete set. Let me put that away.
Right.
And Suzanne, are we ready for the 9/11?
Yes.
Then?
Yes.
Okay. I know, what I know about that is there was a contest in the city of Clarkson or whatever, somewhere. And they decided to design something, and we're going to award the award on 9/11 something, whichever year it was. And I said, well, I know what to do. I need to design something that has the United States or North and South America, and it has the peace dove flying into it. And I need to label it 9/11/01. Can you see these things, or am I holding it the wrong way?
It's good. It's good.
Good enough. This is knitted with, and of course the reversible. It is knitted with Knit Picks lace weight yarn. Here I know it. Held double, and it feels like silk.
Yes.
This unbelievable feeling piece.
Let me show this one up close.
Okay.
There's the back with the hat and the scarf, and there's the front.
Yeah. Wonderful. Now, when I looked at 9/11/2001, I was not able to reverse that mentally in the print.
Mm-hmm.
The other day, after I saw Lucy Neatby's presentation, I said, I should be able to do this. I should be able to say 2020 on one side and 2020 on the other side. Can you see what I'm holding up? 2020 on one side, 2020 on the other side.
Yes.
And if I tell you, Suzanne, it took all of my brain.
But you did it.
I am not built that way. I guess I see only. I see things only one way. I don't know. This was a torture test, but I did it. I did it. I am ready for the piece.
Oh, this is my favorite.
That was done with twisted fibers. hand-dyed yarn, silk and merino, and it is, you have some pictures of it, right?
Yes, I do.
I'm holding it up one way, the other way, and then of course completely reversible. And I had to separate the balls of yarn so that that I would have.
Oh, the shoulders come out right.
Oh yeah, so that
Yes.
everything, like maybe, am I holding it the right way?
Yes.
Okay. And so of course the decreases are here and the decreases are here. They're inside the pattern up here and here. And of course now the shoulder seams are perfect.
Exactly.
Even if I say so myself.
Let me show the big pictures of this.
Yes.
Here's the front. And I tried, I got to try this one on too, and it's just unbelievable how it feels on. Isn't that gorgeous? Just gorgeous.
It's silk, you know, it really feels wonderful. And my daughter is wearing her COVID mask on when she's modeling it. Had to do it that way. Suzanne, are we ready for the next piece?
Yes.
Okay. This is a piece you were asking what made you think of doing the flounce of the brioche on the bottom of the sleeve. Then the kisses. I told you how Shar got me into kisses. Right here. And flounce on the bottom. That was more maybe from culturally, coming from Germany and the southern part of Germany. We have form-fitting pieces, but then flounces on the bottom. So here we have that, and you can see on the other side. And all of it, of course, is reversible. And I had that piece with me in Minnesota or something like this, with taking a class by Lucy Neatby, and she saw that and she had to have it on, and she turned it around, and there is the blast of color. I always say I would wear the dark piece.
Wow.
But she loved this side, very colorful.
Very beautiful. Let me show the photos of this. I've got the photos. And this is your daughter, right? Modeling it?
She's sitting with my husband here. She came from work. She had, of course, Saturday, Sunday work.
And you can see the flounce around the bottom.
Yeah.
And then all the ticking in it.
Yes, they call it lice, right?
Yes.
Yeah. And what once you insert a sleeve and you want to be beautiful on one side, then I had to do whatever this is called, to cover the seam. You have a picture, a close-up of it.
Let me see. Yes, I do. So it's almost like a seam binding.
Yes. So the seam is hidden within that dark piece of what is it? The dark piece is hiding the seam.
Yes.
So here again, this is the piece and this is the way Lucy wore it. It looked perfect.
Yes.
Perfect hair. And this color was perfect. One of the pieces that we didn't talk about earlier, or that's still in natural color, is this piece. And I know you have a picture of it. My daughter is wearing it.
That's beautiful. Let me show the picture.
Okay.
Yes. Isn't that gorgeous? So beautiful. So it looks like the top half is knit from side to side, and then you connected the bottom and it's knitted up and down.
Right, exactly. And Suzanne, it was really two scarves that I put together with, and I don't know whether you can see it. Again, with a Baltic braid, I put it together.
How interesting. So Amber wants to know, Amber is from Germany. She said, which town in Germany are you from?
I was born in Berlin a long, long time ago.
You're so funny.
I came to this country in 1964 from Munich.
Uh-huh.
So those are the cities I lived in. That's the pile, and I have the piece.
Oh yes, this one's gorgeous too. Unbelievably beautiful. Your color, your sense of color is just so amazing.
Well, I tell you, the color happened. You saw that most of it was natural colors to begin. And we went to New Mexico, and I saw that there was a totally different light than in Michigan. It's just, I had to have color. And then, of course, I had to have the beads in it. I have no idea whether you can see them.
Yes, but I've got the good pictures. After you show the drape and everything, I'll show the pictures.
Okay, wonderful. And it is a very large piece that on the one side. Again, here, now you see there is nothing holding the fabric together. And it doesn't have to, because my knitting by now is so, can I say perfect?
It is perfect.
I can say perfect that it is now the tension, the back and forth between the two layers is so perfect that I don't have to hold anything together. And here is the other side.
It's so beautiful. And this is the Crazy Zauberball again.
Absolutely. Addicted to it.
Yeah, so let me show the pictures.
Okay.
And again, your daughter. What's your daughter's name?
Monica.
Monica?
Yes.
She's beautiful.
She's really Mo.
Just gorgeous. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful piece.
So that's, I think, that, and then I have to just tell Nathan, you gave me a challenge. You said, you can do double knitting in lace? Yes, of course you can. And then I had to sit down and do this. It's a pattern from Nanette Höflich, 1843 in Nuremberg. And I'm torturing myself through it. You think I'm doing okay?
Yes, it's beautiful. Let's see if Nathan's still on here, if he'll say what he thinks.
Well, he's probably busy doing his next knitting project.
He's probably knitting. He's sitting there knitting. Yes, he's thinking. Luann wants to know, Luann has a question. She says, how long does it take you to make these?
The swing coat was 5 months. And before my husband became as ill as he is now, I used to knit every day. And Sundays, I would exaggerate a little bit and say by 11 o'clock at night, I would look at 11 o'clock at night, I would look at my husband and say, are you hungry?
So Nathan says he loves it and that it's fabulous.
Wonderful. Fantastic. So I think that is about it. One of the simple things I told you earlier that I do like to knit my tassel tops. They're all double knitted pieces.
It's beautiful.
And it's the construction of those alone is fun. It's like the engineering of it is great fun.
Well, the whole thing is engineering, don't you think?
Absolutely, yes.
When you designed the swing jacket, the coat, oh my gosh.
It's, you have to know where to go next and where to increase and so on and so on and so on. But this is how I do what I do, and I'll gladly answer any questions anybody might have.
So yeah, if anybody has any question, you just put it on there and Christa will answer it. And this has been so fantastic. It's like
Thank
just
you very much, Suzanne.
so awesome. I just love your work, and I'm so glad that I got to meet you and spend that week with you. And I'm thankful for Charles introducing us.
Yes, yes. It's absolutely wonderful.
Yes.
And thank you for showing all these pictures and having them out there in the world for people to see. And if I can, as I said, if I can answer any questions, I'll gladly.
I want to know when you're going to write your book.
Well, you know, that's what Marianne wrote into my book. I got this book from my friends at Heritage Spinning and Weaving in Lake Orion. They gave me the book because I walked out of the store without it and just started to knit. Then we went to a trade show. Joan and I drove there together. I met Marianne. She put on the swing coat, she put on the hat, and she said, wrote into my book, "Dear Christa, please make a book with your beautiful designs." And I said, "How do I do this?" And she said, "You just start. Best wishes, Marianne." So I like your idea of just showing the pieces with little notes.
Right, right. Because, you know, if you try to think of writing patterns for each of the pieces, it's too daunting. But if you show them as pieces of art, think of them as works of art and show them that way, you could do that. You could do that. And that would preserve your pieces.
That would be wonderful.
Yes.
Just a good idea, and I see whether my time will permit to do that one day. I just need somebody to make great photographs and
exactly.
little text underneath, and there's the book.
Yes. So thank you so much for being on here, Christa.
You're very, very
total
welcome.
joy. Total joy.
Thank you.
So, well, I'm going to let you go. We're going to say goodbye to everybody, and please share Christa with your friends. Let them see her beautiful work. Okay.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Suzanne.
Okay. Bye-bye.
Everybody. Bye. Bye.